Finally, we have had the budget. My goodness, the budget that should have come early October, and we would have sold many more houses across the UK. Everyone would have done, including, I know, a lot of people watching this. How frustrating. Anyway, it's now come and gone. It wasn't as bad as everyone thought it might be. It's pretty tough, I know, for some people. So let me just go through it quickly. There's good and there's bad, to be fair, I think. So Labour budget, well, according to a Labour Party these days, it should be renamed the Welfare Party, because all the money raised really is going to support people who are not working. Now, you might have an opinion about that. That's entirely down to you. It was a self-indulgent budget in many ways to save Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer from getting the sack. They have now got till May when the local elections come out, and if they're bad, I think they'll both be gone anyway. So 1.7 million people are now going to be paying a higher rate of tax. That's £8 million. How does that affect the property market? Well, those 1.7 million people may have been thinking, or some of them, moving home to a bigger house. Will they think that now, having moved up to a higher rate of tax? Maybe not. So that is a bit of a blow, I think, for the housing market. Landlords would, of course, if you're a private landlord and you're earning more than £25,000, you'll now be paying 2% more tax, which is interesting. I don't think it affects you if you've got a limited company. Then we have the mansion tax. Well, I'm going to rename this the terrace tax. The reason for that is 82% of all properties that are affected are based in London, and most of them are very lovely big terrace houses, which are worth between £2 and £5 million in London. Mad, isn't it? I know. They said the London property market 6 times more expensive than anywhere else. Not quite so sure about that nowadays, because the London market hasn't really increased very much for the last 10 years, and that is certainly not going to help. Are we feeling too sorry for people with a £2 million house that are going to pay £2,500 more tax, or someone who's got a £5 million house paying £7,500 more rates in the form of tax? I don't think so, do you? But what it will do, it may not help the London property market. So they're the two big takes really for the property sector. The good news, though, there is some good news with all this, and commercial investors like myself and other people, the great news there is that, and we heard this a while ago actually, but it's been confirmed in the budget, is that they are going to reduce rates, commercial rates, for high street shops, which is great news for both the tenant and the landlord. And of course, what you must remember about commercial rates is that the local authorities only keep 10% of those the rates they collect. The 90% goes back to the central government. That needs to be changed, but hey, this isn't really a radical government who are going to change much, to be honest with you, so that ain't going to happen anytime soon. So let's now just briefly talk about the things they didn't do, because they were bullying and shouting and doing all sorts of things, weren't they, before the actual day of the budget. And then, of course, a lot of things they didn't do, but a couple of disappointments, real disappointments, I think, was no support for first-time buyers. First time in 50 years, there's no direct support in terms of deposits and so on for first-time buyers. That's a big blow to the housing market. New homes, boys and girls, they'll be very, very upset, and so will the estate agents. And the stamp duty situation, there was rumours that the stamp duty was the relief for first-time buyers was going to be up to 500,000, put up to 500,000. That would have really helped the London market, which is struggling. The average first-time buyer in London is 485,000. So you can imagine if they brought the stamp duty up to 500,000, that would have really, really helped the London market, especially with the terrace tax, in brackets mansion tax, coming in. You will get, I think, some people trying to perhaps downsize before that comes in. The other thing that didn't come in that they said they were definitely going to do was national insurance for landlords, 8% on the rent. So that is another positive, to be fair, that didn't come in. But the negatives, I think, are for first-time buyers. And if this government is serious about driving through growth, then one of the big ways to drive through growth is the housing market, and they really haven't done anything at all to help that. So basically, the election is meant to be 2029. Some of these things aren't coming in until 2027, 2028, which is very interesting. If you listen to Nigel Farage, he thinks there could be election in 2027. So maybe we don't need to worry about any of this, because apart from the 1.7 million people paying a high rate of tax, most of these other things aren't coming in for at least 2 or 3 years, in which case Labour may not even be in power. So that's a pleasant thought and a positive thought to end with. See you next time.